Well, good morning guys and welcome to the show. Today we have an unboxing for you. The new Rockford Fosgate R2-500x1. Let's open this thing up and see what she comes with. For those of you not familiar with the Prime line of Rockford Fosgate, this is what we'll call their first tier product. It is designed around hitting a certain price point, and the 500.1 has definitely been their #1 seller. Now we have the R2 version of it, which is just that, the second version. They've redesigned it from the ground up. That means they've put it in a whole new box. Previously, these things came in a black shiny box. I really like this new red and white cleaner look with this photorealistic picture on the cover, as well as the back side giving you all the specifications, physical dimensions, and everything that comes in the box. Inside the box, of course, is your instruction manual. New this year to the Prime line is the burn-in sheet. They use the AP, or the audio precision, to test all their amplifiers now, and this one comes in at 629 watts. Also in this bag is your high level to low level adapter. This is going to plug into the side of the amp. We'll show you more on that once we get inside. You also get a thank you, and if you need any tech support or would like to download manuals or anything like that, card in there. And then on the back side is a nice sticker. Kind of cool. In the Prime lineup, they have a bunch of new amplifiers. They have a 202, a 304, a 504, a 750x5, a 251, a 501, a 751, and a big 1201. The owner's manual is going to be for every amplifier they make, and it gives you the specs layout for all of them. On this page, you can see the subwoofer volume control, which is this guy right here. It has two screws holding it in place that we've conveniently removed so that we could get this out and show you that it does come with a nice simple bass knob that can be mounted. I like this in that they've gone to a much bigger knob, and it has a cool Rockford Fosgate logo here in the end. Put that guy on and this will look great in a dash, and it has the tick 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 feel to it as you're turning it, and it has a stop point and a start point. It's not infinite spin. In the owner's manual, they go through what all of the dials, buttons, and lights are for. They talk about the high level to low level and how to set your AP, LP, and HP switches. They talk about the new clean circuit, and of course they have it in multiple languages. But we don't care about that. We want to see what's inside this foam here. It also comes with a bag of screws and an Allen key. The subwoofer wire is neatly zip tied in a bundle. It's a standard phone cable style run. I know some of you guys out there going, what's a phone? Why does it need a cable? And then in this little bag here is the screw for the bass knob. Because I know some of you saw this and they go, well, it doesn't have a screw on it. How is this? Because it comes in a separate bag. It also comes with mounting screws if you want to mount this up underneath the dash. Taking a closer look at the amplifier, as you can see, it has this new sleek design that really makes this amplifier look well beyond what you're actually paying for. It is definitely a major improvement over the previous version of this amplifier. For those of you that are number people, here's a couple numbers you might be interested in. It has 300 watts at 4 ohms or 500 watts at 1 ohm. The crossover is a 12 dB crossover. They have all your controls located here on the front. You don't have to dig around on the side of the amplifier here to find them. On the back side, it's just this simple clean look that kind of flows all around the amplifier. And since we're looking at the side, let's check out the end of the amplifier. It has the sub input and a pass through. Now this was a question that someone asked us on one of our live shows the other day, where they had a radio that only had 4 RC outputs and they needed 6 channels to go to their amplifiers. And they were like, what do I do? Do I use Y connectors or anything like that? On this output, there's a couple different things you can do. So if you feed in the main, which is these right here, you can then go out to a second one of these amplifiers, or if you feed, let's say, your rear or front input from your radio into here, this is a pass-through, so now you can come out of here and go off to that 4-channel amplifier, and that will allow you to just use the 4 RCAs and not have to use Y jacks or anything like that and run the risk of picking up any noise. The high level to low level attaches right here. If you are going to be using high level to low level, this amplifier has the capability of sensing DC offset. If you've never used DC offset before, we're going to put this in a car and we'll show that to you, so keep that one in the back of your head. Also keep in mind that not every system has DC offset, so you're going to want to check for it to see if yours does. This cable is 7 inches long, if that matters to any of you. In the owner's manual, it does give you a breakout for what each pin does on each plug. Depending on what the amplifier is, it is going to have different plugs. This one being a sub amp is going to have the blue and brown. If this was a standard 2-channel amplifier, it would be white and gray, and if it was a 4-channel amplifier, it would have white, gray, green, and purple. As far as the wiring goes on the amplifier, you have a standard 4-gauge ground, a skinnier remote turn on, and a 4-gauge power input. You have channel A positive negative and channel B positive negative. And then right up here on the top of the amplifier, it says 2 ohms. I love this because this takes all the guesswork out of an amplifier. There's been plenty of times we'll go to install an amplifier and it's like, I don't know what its maximum ohm load is, so we have to go onto the internet and check it out. This takes all the guesswork out of it. One of the things that did remain from the previous amplifier is the way the power wire comes out of the amplifier. It comes out at this angle here, which if you're going to be mounting this amplifier flat, as you can see, might pose a problem. If you're going to be using ferrules, which I strongly recommend you do, get the kind here that don't have the shield. If you only have the shielded kind like this, cut it and remove it. This style ferrule in there, as you can see, it comes down pretty far and is going to cause that wire to unnecessarily bend way too fast. Another solution, of course, is raising the amplifier up, or if you're going to be mounting it onto an amp rack, you can always have the wires come out, drill a hole, and go through the surface. Moving on to the top surface of the amplifier, where all the new magic is definitely happened. The first thing you'll see is the power protect light. Illuminates blue when the unit is turned on. Protect thermal LED illuminates red when the amplifier overheats or short circuits. The amplifier will automatically mute if this occurs. You're not having a good day. You have the new clean output circuit and the new clean input circuit. Now, I myself, as someone who likes to get as most information about something as possible, and on page 5 of the owner's manual, when it talks about clean and clean in and clean out, clean calibrates level, eliminates audible noise, allows for accurate setup of an amplifier's input and output without the need for additional measurement tools. Clean in indicates when the input into the amplifier starts to distort by lighting up red. How does it work? They have how does it work sections for all their technology. Turn the volume level on the source unit up until the light turns red, then reduce the volume level until the light turns off. This is the maximum level that the source unit should be turned up on in order to provide a distortion-free signal into the amplifier. Clean out indicates when the output from the amplifier starts to distort by illuminating red. It's the same thing, just of course input output. Setup should be performed at the maximum level of the source unit determined by the clean indicator. Turn the gain up until the light turns red, then turn down the gain until the light turns off. This is the maximum level that the gain should be set to in order to provide a distortion-free output from the amplifier. And there you have it. That's clean. Your gain control adjustability is between your input sensitivity through the low-level input is good for 150 millivolts up to 4 volts, and your high-level input sensitivity is 450 millivolts to 12 volts of input. This means is that the high-level to low-level adapter that's built into this, as long as whatever you're connecting it to is below 12 volts of output, you're good. You can use the one built into this and not need to use an external one. Next to the gain control, you'll find what they're calling the infrasonic crossover. This is going to be a high-pass filter for your subwoofer. Also, some people will call it a subsonic filter. It's adjustable between 50 and 40 hertz. You have your low-pass crossover, adjustable between 50 and 250 hertz. No Rockford Fosgate amp would be complete without punch EQ. Variable equalizer with up to 18 dBs at 45 hertz. This is great for adding a little bit of impact to the music on a regular normal flat signal. If you're using this in a factory system, this will add life to it. Play with it a little bit, but keep in mind as you adjust this, you need to keep an eye on your clean output because you are amplifying that output. Sometimes you're going to need to turn your gain down just a hair to get that impact that you want from here. You have your auto remote turn on. Utilizes the DC offset of the source unit's front left speaker to turn the amplifier on and off. Turning the switch to the off position requires the connection of the remote input to be connected to a 12 volt switch accessory circuit using a 1 amp fuse or the remote output from the aftermarket head unit. Note, this only applies to a high level input. How does it work? DC offset is the 6 volts coming from the source unit's positive speaker lead. This can be tested by using a digital multimeter set to DC voltage by connecting the meter's positive lead to the front left positive speaker lead and connecting the negative lead to chassis ground and turning the source unit on. This is nice to have a physical switch. The reason why is because sometimes DC offset doesn't work or it works sporadically. Being able to turn this off so that you can run a dedicated remote turn on. Some amplifiers don't have this and you run into all kinds of problems. At that point you have to go to an external high level to low level adapter. You don't get to take advantage of the one built into it. Thank you very much, Rockford, for putting this on the amplifier. Like most new things, especially amplifiers, you always want to see what it looks like underneath, and we're not going to disappoint. Let's pull the bottom off this and see what she looks like. As I'm pulling this top off the amplifier, something just occurred to me that it's something we take for granted. This white font on here, this is really nice. There's a couple amplifier manufacturers out there that this is very hard to read when the amplifier isn't in good lighting. This is nice, bold, just super legible, very important. Little things like that we often don't even pay attention to. Let's pop the top. Ooh. Big power supply. To give you an idea how big the power supply is, I have a standard SD card here, which you guys are all familiar with. We'll set that on top of the power supply. Pretty decent size. One of the things that Rockford talks a lot about is using the space in the amplifier to the best of their ability to optimize cooling and allow these amplifiers to be as small as they are. As you can see here, you have a nice big layout for the back side of the amplifier, as well as over here. The power supply is in this corner. It sits on top of this big piece of aluminum. This is the new clean circuit. It's well over here away from anything on this side of the amplifier. So even as tight as this is, they've optimized the space as well as they can. You can see these nice big bus bars coming out of the power, and it's super close in relation to the power supply. No review would be complete without us hooking it up and seeing what this thing will actually do in a car. So join us now as we put it back together and take it and put it into the lab. We'll see how it sounds and have some fun. For those of you unfamiliar with what the lab is, it is Fernando's G35. And in the back of it here, we have a setup filled with power strips, Stinger X series fusing, and all the other accessories we could need in order for us to do testing on equipment. We have amplifiers that stay put in there all the time. For this, we have speaker level outputs here we're going to connect up to. First thing we want to do now that we have it wired up in the car is test for DC offset. Blue is the wire we want to use. So in order for the DC offset to work, we have to hook up to the left front speaker. We have the pin breakout, and then we'll come down here because we have a sub amp, and it'll tell us the left is the blue, black. Take our red test lead, connect it to the blue wire, connect our other test lead to ground. Right now our voltmeter is not reading anything. Let's turn on the factory radio. And as you can see, we're getting that 6 volts. That's what we need to see. That's our DC offset. We can use this to turn on the amplifier. Before we install this in the car and set up our clean section, we need to get some test tracks. To do that, we've headed over to rockfordfosgate.com. We're going to click on the support tab, which is going to take us right to this box. Type in clean, hit return. It's going to take us to the write-up on the clean. Click it, scroll down, and it gives you an overview of all the test tracks that are available to you. And if you come down here in this red box where it says a set of 12 gain overlap tracks above, click here and you can download those to your computer. You have M4As, MP3s, and WAVs available to you. You will need these in order to do your proper gain overlap. Right now on the radio, we're playing our 40 Hertz 0 dB test track that we downloaded, and we're not getting a clean in light on, which means that our radio is not putting out a clip signal that this is seen. We'll move on to -5 dBs, and we'll start turning up the gain to see what our maximum output is. I'll start turning this up. As you can see, it's starting to blink a little more, a little more. Well, let's just go crazy. That would be bad. So we'll turn this down. All right. And right there we have no blinkies. I'm gonna turn up the punch EQ. just like we were talking about earlier, you can see as we turn the punch EQ, that clip out starts to turn up. This would be the same as if you put the bass up on your radio. We'll turn down the gain some to make that go away. And that's a happy balance you're gonna have to come up with, because if you want the deeper bass, then you may need to turn that gain down. You have to figure out which one works better for you. I personally like a little bit of punch in my bass. Turn our crossover to our default 80 settings as just a starting point. I will adjust my infrasonic filter up to 12 o'clock. That's where I like to start. It's the halfway point between my 15 and my 40. And the only thing left to do is put our punch 8-inch test subwoofer back in. We have a P2 and a ported enclosure. We're gonna drop some power on it and see what this thing can do. So we just have our bass knob draped in here. We're gonna play some copyright-free music. I know, right? Knob down. And just like that, you have bass. I love that new clean circuit finally being built into the amplifier.
Yeah, it's gonna help a lot, definitely.
It makes setting up so nice. You don't have to take out any extra tools. I hope you guys enjoyed this unboxing review of the Rockford Fosgate's new Prime R2-500x1 amplifier. Be checking for it to be in stores here real soon. In the meantime, Fernando.
On to the next one, guys.
You guys have a great night as always. We'll see you later next time.
Bye.
You ever notice how at the beginning of these things we say good morning and at the end we say good night, like they're that long?
Well, they're kind of long.
It just feels that way when we're filming them.
Yeah.